let's talk about the universality of sin. What is that? Okay. Universal sin simply means that everyone is subject to sin. Everyone is under sin's influence. Paul writes in Romans chapter 3, verse 9, are we better than they? Not at all. For we have already charged that both Jews and Greeks are all under sin. Okay, so all of us are under sin. Everyone. Sin is not, simply a wrongful act. We think of stealing, or fighting somebody, or abusing somebody, or just a selfish act. Sin isn't just one point in time. Sin is a state of alienation from God. We're not unified with our Creator, and we're not unified with His goodness, with His pureness. And we don't have to think very long or hard about the ramifications of the universality of sin and being alienated from God. You've got war, you've got oppression, hate, murder, abuse, depression, suicide, bullying. The list goes on. In our pre-redemptive state, you've probably said this, or you've heard somebody else say it. It's a very common phraseology in Christendom. Have you ever said, I deserved death, or I deserved eternal punishment? Those are things that we focused on in our pre-redemptive state. But that's only one side of the coin. God looked at us in that exact same state, where we were looking at ourselves saying, I deserved punishment. I deserved my eternal punishment and death. And while we were looking at that, God looked at us and God said, they deserve a chance. Now, it's a second chance, mind you, right? We had our first chance in Eden and we messed that all kinds of up. But God saw our fallen state. He saw our pre-redemptive fallen state, and He showed us mercy. God gave us His grace. It is true, we were positioned for death. In fact, just like we're universally under sin, we were universally positioned for death. But that's only one way to think about it. Think about this. Just like we were positioned for death, the way God looked at it, we were positioned for grace. Grace occurs when you're given a gift that you don't deserve. So if you're positioned for doom and gloom, then you're also positioned for victory and for redemption. So, think about this. You're at the store and you're going to the checkout line, and as you're going to the checkout line, you see that the man in front of you has a cart chock full of beer. He's got booze for days. He's going to a party and he's got one item on the menu. You could cast your judgment of his misalignment with God. Or you can be like the very God you're accusing him of being misaligned with, and instead see him as positioned for grace, not judgment. Recall the pool in Jerusalem called Bethesda in John chapter 5. There was a man that was ill for 38 years. So when the angels would come down from heaven in certain seasons and stir up the water so that the first person that touches it gets healed, this man wasn't able to get there first. Because of his handicap, he was positioned for failure and for, continuous sickness. But get this, when Jesus Christ came along and he saw him lying there, and he was aware of his tenured condition, and when the man told Jesus himself, like, look, I'm positioned to fail, I can't get there first, Christ said this: get up, pick up your pallet, and walk. Jesus did not focus on his position of sickness or weakness. Jesus focused on his position for healing. It's easy to judge. It's so easy. But I challenge you to stop looking at people's position in a pretentious way. Instead of looking at them as positions of doom, look at people's position for grace. Just like God looked at us when we were positioned for doom. God positioned us